Hello, Academy, and welcome to another edition. We're going to try to make our bird film now. So here I am, just trying to figure stuff out as we go along. It's kind of a good way to teach. We joke about teaching with your face, if you will. So just go in there and do it. Oh, we're working from our storyboard. So here's the Turanga storyboard that we had earlier. So if you want to look at Turanga by the East Bay Documentary Group. Here's the Vimeo. So this is by Leah Mahan Productions. And working with high schoolers, they came up with a storyboard. So here's an example of how she storyboards. So she's got the visuals. So it looks like music's going to begin. And here's some of the dialogue that's going on. And the title comes in. And on the lower third, they're going to put this information up. And then there's a photo. And you can see as we move through each one of the visuals and the videos, we can see how these things are moving forward. So she did hers in several sections. So like episode 2 is going to start at 57 seconds in, and then she starts talking along here. So we've mimicked that to a degree. I haven't put the times on the yet because I don't know how long this is going to take. This is the storyboard, the second storyboard that we did. And so now I've got the images in there. We're going to start fade to black, start in black, and then we're going to bring in some sound from the goldfinch there. So I've got my what the visuals are going to be, what the sound's going to be, and if there's any music. Then I'm going to bring in this music here, the open source stuff that if you see the earlier video came from the YouTube audio files that doesn't need formal citation, but we're going to leave citation on ours because that's the right way to do it. So hopefully through a series of these, we're going to move this over to the side so that I can follow along with what our directions are. Here's all my files. I've got all my files that I'm starting with, just dumping them up in the my one folder. So I've got my little bird movie going on here, and I'm going to be saving my bird movie as I move along. So this is working on OpenShot again. So I've got photos, etc., etc. Now, one of the ways we can do is we can dump everything into our projects file. I'm going to slide this over because I'm going to be using it off screen, and then I'll bring it in as we need. We can pull everything in over here into our project and just pull from there. But I'm just going to bring in what I need to bring in as I bring it in. So hopefully that's going to make sense for us. So first thing is we're going to save our project. So I did save project as. I've already gone ahead and named it the bird film project. And then just make sure that you know where that's being saved, so that as you're working, you can continually move forward. So I suspect this is probably going to take a couple sessions so that you don't have to watch an hour-long video on YouTube. So I'm just going to do this in stages. I've got my view. So if you go to view, your docs, I've got everything up except captions because I don't really have that added on. So this is going to be my project files, my video review over there, and then here's my tracks. I'm going to go ahead and leave it with just 5 tracks here, and I'll add if I need or I'll take away. I don't know exactly what we're going to play around with here. So if I look at the first thing that I need to do is I need to add in my bird sounds on a fence, because that's going to be this file here. So I've got it labeled so that I know where it is. So here's my bird sounds on the fence here. And if I just play that really quick. So there's my video. It's got a couple bird noises going on in the background. So I want the audio from that. So that's how we're going to play this particular series out. So I'm going to, if you recall, click on separate audio. And I'm just going to do a single clip. And there's my audio. I don't want the video for this because this is going to be my background noise according to my screenplay that I've got, my storytelling thing. So I hit delete because I highlighted that one. So now I've got my audio down here. So there's just bird sounds on the background. So that's how I'm planning on starting my video. So if I started at the very beginning, I've got it slid all the way over, and that's how long the bird sounds are. If I want them to continue, I can go I'm going to do a Control C, Control V, and it gave me bird sounds again. So I'm going to put my audio down here at the bottom. So I'm just looping that bird sound audio there. So one thing I could probably check to see, just make sure that it's not a hard cut in between. Yeah, and it's not bad there. So that's going to work out. So first thing we wanted to do is we were going to start ours from a fade to black. So we're starting with a black screen. So I can do that by title. And I go up here on title, and there's several ways that we can play around with this. And if I scroll down, I think there was just a black screen. So there's a solid color black screen. And I found with these titles, if you choose, it says black background color. If I choose a background color, then it's going to make it black. Otherwise, it's just going to be clear. In this particular one of background color, we can start from black. Actually, let's go ahead and I'm going to move it to slightly gray. So I'm making a quick adjustment there so that we can see it when it comes in. So I am going to save this, and I need to make this a good title so that I can find it again. So we're going to call that a blank screen. Save. And so now I've got a blank screen, and I'm going to put this. Let's put our blank screen here, and we'll put our text on the top. So another thing we can do is we can rename these, and maybe we should rename these so that we can keep track of what's going on. So music. I got a music track. This is going to be audio. Then we can call this one background images. So that needs to be come down. I'm going to move that down there. And then we can call this one photos, because they're going to come on to the top. We may need more of those. It depends on how we're going to play around with it. And we'll rename this one. We'll call this one text, because we want the text to be on the top. And I may need to add another one here if we want each one of these files here. So if I wanted to add a track, I can add a track below. And I'm going to go ahead and preemptively, because I know I'm going to put captions on here. So we'll call this one captions as we run forward there. So now we've got a blank screen. So here's our time. If I do my little scroll in with my window here, so if I hit control and I can scroll and I can see how long of that blank screen that I want, and I can slide this blank screen out as far as I really need. So we're going to do this to, we'll just have a 4-second intro blank screen, or maybe actually that seems long to me. So we're just going to do a blank screen. And then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in our title right after the blank screen. So we're going to get some bird noises, tweet, 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 and then we're going to bring in our title. So let's find a good title. I need 2. So like we want a title and a subheading. So here's one there, and I can look at it really quick. Don't like that one. We can change the font and all that sort of stuff. So let's just do this title here. So my title, and we're going to call this the squirrel proof bird feeder. We'll call it the squirrel baffle. Let's change the name here to the squirrel baffle challenge. And that's going to be just fine for me. So I'll leave that color on there and not worry about it. So we're going to come in here. And now I've got my title. I'm going to bring my title in. I don't need my title to be that long. So this is how long the duration of the title is going to show up. So we'll do the first roughly 4 seconds here. And if I play my video, it's going to be blank screen, and then it pops in. So I think that pops in a little bit quick. So if I set the start of my menu here, so I'm going to look at this one, and let's do a fade. So we're going to fade in at the start of the clip. We're going to do it slow. And then we'll see how that changed our. So we're going to come back here with our bird sounds. So see, we faded the title in, and then we got a hard cut. So it looks like we're going to need a little bit longer of our title. And our blank screen can actually be shortened because the other one's going on top of it. You can actually watch the color change. So I can see that I've got black screen here. So as it moves in. Actually, my blank screen is gray, so we're going to leave it over there until we get an image. So just as I'm running along. Okay, so I feel that is long enough for my fade in. So let's do that. And we're going to click on here. And we'll go to our start at the end of the clip. And we're going to fade it out slow. So as you see, we're just going to build each one of our elements here. Fades it in. If I click off. Now it fades it out. There, we've got a title. We've got sound going on in the background. All kind of fun stuff there. So we've added our fade in and our fade out of our joyous music thing. So I'm sorry, I'm trying to read really quick. So I'm going to look at the video of the goldfinch on the feeder. So goldfinch on the feeder, it's got bad sound. I don't like the sound, so I'm bringing that in. You can see as we're going to bring in each one of these. We're going to come to the feeder. Going to make sure that they butt up with each other there. So it looks like we're going to fade out. And now we've got my little bird feeder video. I did do it with a cell phone. So we're going to have a little bit of, we're going to have dark on edges on either side there. So when you are filming with a phone, I'm going to move this up to text now that I noticed that. You have to be aware that it's usually better to do it landscape than portrait, but that's the way I did it. So this is what I'm working with because that's what I've got. So instead of hard cutting the title, we're going to let that blend in here. So we're going to have our gray screen in the back here. So you watch it, we fade in, we get our video, there's our thing. And so that's fading out. So, and I can choose just exactly where I want that to fade out. So as it's fading out, we're going to switch our image over. So fading, boop, there we go. But I've got really bad sound on this one. So what I'm going to do with my background screen, so I'm going to bring this and I want my video to be on the background. So that's going to be my base layer here. I'm going to go ahead and separate the audio. It's going to dump it down below. But here, I'm going to highlight the audio. I don't want the audio, so it's gone. So here's my audio from another video. And then here's my video that had bad audio. So now I've got birds singing along. And there's my little goldfinch. Hooray. He's eating, eating, eating. So we're going to play around with that. And move on to the next segment.